So what we're going to do, I thought we'd show you a little bit of butchery on the duck, because it's pretty boring just showing you 2 duck breasts and 2 duck legs. So I thought what we do is actually show you what we do with, or what I do with my duck, and it's exactly obviously the same way with any poultry, chickens, whatever. So what we're going to do with a duck, obviously it's so fatty, I mean, that would be lovely just to roast, but it wouldn't look very nice just sat there on your plate. It's fine for at home, but obviously we'd like to see a little bit of skill tonight, hopefully. So what I always do, I always take the legs off first, and it's just through knowing where the joints are. So you know where, roughly, again, where the joints are, then you can hear a little snap, and that's the bone snapping out at the bottom. And what I do, you see, you've revealed the bone down there, and then you can follow it through. Now what I do with the legs, just roasting a leg, it needs a lot of slow cooking, and that's what I do with a lot of like pork belly and with duck legs, is do slow cooking, casserole and beef. And I really do prefer doing slow cookery, because also from a restaurant point of view, basically I can make a pot of duck legs, I can make a big pork belly, I can make excuse me a second. There we are. It's actually called confying, and what I can do, sorry I was going back to it, in the restaurant, is obviously on a Saturday night or on any night you get things on order, and there's so much cooking involved. If you've got steaks on, you've got individual pieces of fish that you're cooking, you've got things like scallops that you're cooking. There's so many things. I've only got 6 gas hobs, one of them doesn't work, the other one we have a bain-marie on at the back. So it's basically, you'd have pans everywhere, and the dish comes on, every dish has normally got, as you can see, how many different elements are to most of the dishes. So with having some of the slow cooked meals, there's kind of the hard work has been done in the daytime to get the dish right, and then basically it's just a case of reheating. And things like duck and pork sell really well, so it sort of makes my life a little bit easier during service time. So when I'm doing 30 meals, I can take a piece of pork belly that's already been cooked, it's got the string around it, a nice big piece of pork belly. Once it goes cold, take the string off, cut it down into 8 or 10 portions, and then I have those pieces in the fridge then, that go back through the oven for about 15-20 minutes. And an example at the moment, we've got it with roast potatoes. So basically 2 roast potatoes and a piece of pork belly goes back in the oven. That's worried, gone. Don't have to worry about that dish anymore. Whereas if the lamb, somebody said they want lamb pink or venison pink, you've got so many things that you've got to remember. So it's not a cop-out, it's just a case of trying to design a menu so that you're not doing everything that's cooked to order. And that's a problem sometimes that chefs have. They just think, oh well, we'll cook everything to order, and then you realise you've got purees and sauces and garnishes all go with it. It's just too much, and they get in a right mess, and your food takes forever to come out, which I'm sure you've been to a restaurant where you've waited, hopefully not here, where you've waited too long for your meals. So that's why I try and do a few slow cooked, and obviously in the winter you can get away with that. In the summer, not as much, because obviously people want, you know, sort of lighter food normally in the summer, so I don't tend to do those sort of dishes in the summer. So confying, what is it? Slow cooking. I cook, I've got a bigger roasting tray obviously that I do all my duck legs in, but for example I'll do 2 pork bellies on a Thursday or a Friday, ready for the weekend. I've got a big roasting tray like this, and what I do, I'll prep all those up, and then I'll pop them in the oven about 1 o'clock in the afternoon before I go back to go and get the kids, and then I put it on the lowest it possibly can, put it in the oven, that's it, leave it. Likewise the same with the duck legs. Now I normally wait until 2 o'clock before I go, because obviously the thinner, there's not as much there to cook. But what I do, I'll show you first of all how I trim it up, because again, if you get that on your plate, it looks big, but also you think, well actually I'm eating quite a lot of fat there, so it doesn't look very nice when you serve it. So what I try and do is take, you know, some of the elements off, and again, just a chefy thing really, just tidy it up a little bit, because it doesn't look very nice when you just get your, there's the tendons there. And cut off. If you always cut that way down, because then the bone doesn't splinter. So we've taken off a lot of the fat there, and as you can see, that one there looks far neater than that one there. So I won't bother doing that one, but that's how I would be doing my duck. So what we do, we put them all in the roasting tray, and I normally put them skin side down. And it doesn't make any difference with crispiness, it's just that so the flavours can penetrate in the flesh. And then I'll turn the other ones up. And then what I'll do, I've got garlic, I've got thyme, I've got citrus fruit, and then I've also got the oil that I always use, and basically it's a continual oil. So what I'll do, it starts off with just normal vegetable oil, just pour it straight over. There's plenty of salt on there, you can put spices in there as well, not so much with the pork, but you can put fine spice and all different stuff, whatever really, doesn't matter. Mix it all up in the duck, put a piece of foil on it, and put it in the oven for 2 hours. That will keep in the fridge for weeks.
How much oil do you need?
As long as it's submerged in the oil.
Submerging?
Yeah, even now, it never lasts that long, but if I had 20 duck legs that are in oil, they're submerged in the oil, on order, you put your hand in and you get one out, and they actually go through the fryer. The duck legs go through the fryer, and that's how they crisp up, you see. So that's how we do that. And then obviously, it sounds like there's a lot of fat there, but the fryer takes away a lot of the fat, and it crisps them up, which hopefully you'll see in a short time. Okay, and then with the breast, again, you can feel roughly where it is. And again, I've had head chefs stood over me, and at college, when I used to go to college, we actually had to bone poultry out quite a lot. They never let us free on ducks, but they used to give us chickens all the time. There's the wishbone, you sort of follow it round. Now when they go to college, it's just basically they bone one chicken, and then they tick a little box to say that now they can bone chickens. And then when they come and work for me or other chefs, then you say, oh, can you bone chickens? They say, oh yes, I've done it on my MVQ level 1. And I say, all right, and you put there and you just see what an absolute mess they make of cutting up the chicken. And when we did it at college, obviously funding and all those sort of things were different, but we used to do it with chickens, and we'd be doing it all the time, every week. There wasn't as many ticking boxes. Sort of mentioned that to the chap at the college, it didn't get that too well. So that there, now we can get loads of flavour out of that as well. And what we could do, or what I do, is I put those on a cooling rack and put again very low in the oven, and all the fat runs off and renders off, and then basically that's great for roast potatoes, but it also then goes in that comfrey oil that I was saying about before. So I use that. I'm not going to use this one now, that one's going to go in the bin. Okay, so then again we're back to with the breast. We've got the breast. Again, if you've got served that, you think, oh, that's a lovely piece of meat there, but I'd like to try and trim it down a little bit to get rid of some of that fat. These here make nice little chef's perks, so they're called little lollipops, and what you can do, you can bone it out, twist it around and turn it around. In fact, I'll show you how. You do it with chicken legs, chicken knuckles as well. So you just cut it round. So you've got like little chicken sort of drumsticks there, sorry, duck drumsticks on this occasion, and then you could just cover those in some spices and some flour, and then drop them in the fryer. They make quite nice little snacks. And then again, I take off as much of the fat as I can. And I score it as well.
Is that why you're so slim, Julian?
Very kind of you to say that.
I wish I'd said that.
I want a big bit of turkey.
Yeah.
I forgot to bring the salt back out, but now I would rub this with salt now, and then basically we would get that started on 11 schools, little portable oven that I've been learning today. Okay, so what we're going to do now